with Cigar and Jetty and Crystal Ball. That's her name apparently. That's her real name, I think.
Yeah.
And they were saying that landlords, not landlords of big buildings, but landlords of like regular buildings, like 4-plex, 5-plex, 6-plex, 8-plex, whatever.
Yeah.
Before the pandemic happened, they were trying to be slick and they took loans out on buildings, right? And they took it as adjustable rate mortgages.
Oh no, dude, that's
And
horrible. That sounds like 2008.
But the thing is, I think and correct me if I'm wrong, if you get an adjustable rate mortgage, it's cheaper, right, than standard initially.
Yeah, initially it's usually
Like if fixed is 3.1, adjustable might be 2.9 along those lines.
yeah, but after like 5 years, it starts whatever
Get
the
this,
market.
bro, get this.
Yeah.
So 2018, 2019, they took adjustable rate mortgages out for their buildings, right? And then obviously they're doing good, they're making money, they're doing their thing. Then interest rates started going up. So what did they start doing? We got to raise our rents to the market. That's what. So apparently, one of the reasons people were raising their rents, not all the reasons, of course, but every month your mortgage is going higher and higher and higher because of the interest rates keep going up and up and up, and you can't keep increasing the rent on the people like that.
Yeah, you can't.
So now, let's say your interest rate was 2.9, and you're paying $1,000 a month for mortgage, right? Let's say in your building.
Yeah.
Next month now, because their interest rates went up half a point or a quarter point, now you're paying $1,200 or $1,150.
Yeah.
Next
That's
month,
per apartment. Well, not sorry.
Well,
we're talking about 1,200. Yeah.
I'm talking about like the mortgage that you own. Let's say, to keep the number simple. The next month, $1,400. The next month, $1,600, $1,800, $20. From like 2.5% now all the way to almost 8% now.
Yeah.
So think about that. So now these guys are operating so deep in the red and they can't raise rents anymore.
But that's horrible because like knowing them, they should have just refinanced. They could refinance whenever they want. They just have to deal with the closing costs and that's it.
They probably don't have the money for the closing costs now. I think some of these guys were kind of greedy and took high amounts of risks.
Yeah.
And they're like, yo, we'll just take an adjustable rate.
Or you could just include the closing costs into the loan as well. You just have to.
To refinance though, you need a down payment again, right? It's basically like you're buying the house.
You could put all that into. You have to just find a really good lender, it's hard to find one nowadays, but where you could just include everything into the loan itself. You are right. There has to be a down payment, but if you already have equity in the property, that would be your down payment. You get me? Usually, when you do a refinance, if you're doing cash out, you're gonna take out money.
Yeah, maybe they don't have equity in the property or something. Maybe
No. They should have equity in the property unless they did a cash out before.
Maybe they did.
Oh, if they did a cash out before, they're pretty much screwed.
The point is that if they did have equity or they did everything responsibly, nobody would be talking about this. But the fact of the matter is that they can't keep raising rents up anymore to keep pace with the interest rates.
What they can do is just refinance and then move to a fixed rate, and that's it. You're set at where you're at, but at least you stop the bleeding. You know what I mean?
It seems like they don't have the money. It seems like they might not have the funds to do that. No, dude. No, it seems like it's really kind of getting serious in a way where it's like, oh snap, we don't have the funds to keep refinancing. We don't have the funds now. We don't have the funds to refinance. There's nothing we could do to stop the bleeding. And it's going to get to the point where the banks are going to be like, yo, whatever.
Foreclose.
Foreclose.
Or they could do a
short sale?
Short sale prior to that. Try to save their credit.
You know what's messed up about this? We have this I'm not saying that this is an easy problem to fix, but this is not like a technologically based issue that our politicians won't be able to understand. This should be pretty straightforward. Rents are too high. What's going on? Let's investigate. Housing now is going to turn into healthcare. It's going to turn into one big mess, bro.
I'm trying to think, how can they even lower rents? Like, that's never happened historically. Rents have always gone up.
So the thing is, right, number one, the one I keep hearing about is that the zoning laws have to change to allow people to build.
Yeah, that's definitely it, yeah.
So the second thing is, I don't think the government should be in the business of telling people what rent to charge, right? I don't think so. But...
oh, man, I could get real, like,
they
gray, man.
No, they shouldn't be telling people how much rent to charge.
The market should decide, but sometimes people... Yeah.
The market's deciding right now. Look what's happening with that. They're going crazy.
Yeah.
But that's fine. So what I would do is it's like pressure building up, right? And imagine a pipe where pressure is building up in terms of housing. And what you do is you remove the zoning laws and you add like an extra, what do you call it? An extra hole in the pipe with another pipeline, right?
Yeah.
To relieve pressure. And I think that extra pipe is the equivalent of remove zoning laws and build more houses. Here's what I think should happen though. I think the government should partner with contractors to build more houses, right? So that the people can buy houses and pay property taxes on it. More people who own homes, more people who can pay property taxes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that'll kind of, that's one thing I can think of. That's the only thing I can think of in terms of fixing this issue. It's removing the zoning laws
Yeah, zoning laws
or
would help.
readjusting them for whatever reason.
Yeah, that would definitely help. I just see that, I don't know, I just see banks coming in and just, or like hedge funds are coming in just
That's
buying
another
all
thing. They
that.
gotta stop that, and they're not going to. It doesn't seem that they're going to. It seems
Yeah,
like they're gonna let it
that I
happen.
think that's something that would definitely help if they stop the whole monopoly of these huge.
What does a hedge fund need to buy a single family house for? What does a hedge fund need to buy an entire neighborhood for? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they have investors, I guess, that have their money set.
The nefarious thing, if I was a hedge fund, right? Let's say I was a hedge fund and my job was to do this type of stuff, it would make sense, right? To buy entire neighborhoods,
Yeah.
right? And just have people just pay rent to me all the time. It's an income of, instead of counting or waiting for investors to give me money so that I can invest in portfolios in like stocks and stuff like that. I'm getting money from the renters all the time, every month, forever.
Yeah.
I don't have to. You keep doing that enough time, you're always gonna have an influx of money so huge that you can now like that combined with the money from investors, you can put it into stuff. You can like sway, you can control like a whole bunch of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're gonna keep doing this because it's just too lucrative not to.
Yeah, so if they could control that, where it's like you can only buy a certain amount of real estate if you are considered a hedge fund.
I don't think hedge funds should be buying real estate. How about like
They can't stop that, man.
they have to, bro. Something has to happen where it's like, bro, like no more real estate for you.
Because moving forward, but whatever they have now, they would have to continue keeping it. You know what I mean?
Nah, there's precedents for this before. I think they did it to J.P. Morgan where they forced him to break up his,
So what they would
his oil monopoly and to sell it to other people.
Okay, that could be a solution where you make them offload all the real estate that they have.
Yep.
And then that way that would increase the supply.
Yeah, and if you're a hedge fund, you're not allowed to buy property. Stick to stocks. Stick to manipulating the market. Stick to continuously screwing over
that would make sense. And then at the same time, they would get a profit off what they sold. So
yeah, and stick to screwing over the taxpayers that way. But think about this. Think about this, right? This should be.
Grant Cardone ain't gonna like this shit.
You know what I like about Grant Cardone and people like him, right? These people are freaking hilarious. They're like, you shouldn't own a home. You shouldn't own a house. Like a single family house is a waste of money. And yeah, whatever, sure. Some people might be like, yeah, that's true. You're not getting.
Yeah,
any money
what does it
out
say?
of it.
Don't own where you live or something like that.
But no. But my contention is they'll be like, some people might be like, yeah, there's no point in owning a single family house. You don't make any money off of it. You might as well rent. Well, you're not making any money from renting either. At least with owning a single family house, you're getting something out of it. You're getting something out of it compared to renting, right?
Yeah.
And then they go ahead.
Well, the way he talks about it to Grant Cardone's defense.
I read his book, Be Average or Be Insane or Be Average.
Yeah. So it's the point of being able to move around. So when you're able to rent, you're able to move around, and sometimes the majority actually times. You save more money renting than actually buying a property because there's so much maintenance that goes into owning a property.
If you live in a hot area, right, where the job markets are abundant,
Yeah.
let's say San Francisco, let's say London, don't you think it'd be beneficial to own a home in that area where you probably won't be moving around because the job opportunities are abundant?
No.
I don't know. There's a difference between owning a house and...
Usually in those areas, there's not even any houses. It's just.
But let's say you do own a house there, right? You know what I'm saying? In like London or New York City, if you own like a property in New York City, right?
Okay.
Like a single family house.
Yeah.
The amount of jobs in New York City, I don't think people are gonna move. People move to where there's jobs. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you own like a home, let's say in like I don't know, like Nebraska or South Dakota,
Okay.
you buy a house there,
And you have a job in New York City.
or you don't have you buy a house there and you have one job. It's
Yeah.
that I can understand. You might have to move if the job closes down, especially in today's world.
Yeah.
But if you own a property in New York City or in a populated area, if the job moves, you can just get another decent paying job as well because there's a whole bunch of jobs there.
No, but the whole thing is that, like you just said right now, if you're able to move around, and you know what I mean, if you find a job somewhere else, you'll be able to move around more quicker and easier if you're renting. You know what I mean? Because if you have a house, you have to sell it.
I suppose that's I understand that argument. It doesn't do it for me though. But I do understand, like, oh, if you rent, you can move within a year, or after your lease is up, you can move whenever you want. That it depends on what your lifestyle is. If you're constantly moving, I don't know why you would constantly be moving, but again, it depends on your lifestyle. The thing is, right? These guys will say, don't own a home. You're better off renting, and then they try to sell you on because you could always move, right? And then you realize they own apartment buildings. It's not that they don't want you to own a home. They want you, and that you should rent because it's easy to move. They want you to rent because they want more renters. They want to sell the idea of renting to people.
Not really.
I think they do. These guys own like 4 properties, or 4 apartment buildings, or 4 complexes, and they make money off renters.
I agree with that, but I disagree as well, because like if you read exactly what he says, it's like you should be able to rent where you live, and the reason behind that is because you're able to move. But he also encouraged you to buy real estate. You get me? So basically, when you're if you're an investor and you're buying multiple properties, right? And you don't have to worry about your house or where you're living in, right? With expenses of maintenance and all that stuff. It gives you more money to actually invest, versus actually owning a property where you have to like worry about that property that you live in. You're responsible for everything in that property that you live in. You get me? So basically, your home is no longer a liability where you live in, and you have extra income to buy assets. You get me?
Okay, I mean, I see that.
But if you're just renting and you're not investing your money, then it's horrible.
But the thing is, like, if you own a home and you're living every month net zeroing your home, you get what I'm saying? Yeah. Then I can see why owning a single family house is not a good idea, right? If you own a multi-family house, yeah, fine, you're good, you're Gucci, you have an investment.
Yeah.
If you own a single family home, but the payments are so small or so okay that you're fine, right? Instead of renting, and you're building equity that you can pull out when you sell, I think that's good. I don't think the idea of not owning a home, I don't think it's not a good idea to not own a home if you're not planning on moving for the next like 10 years. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whether it's, full disclaimer, I own a home, right? so
I think it's just the audience he's catering to is just people that hopefully are, and just investors, man. People that are not set in one place.
Yeah, I understand that.
But most people that listen to him are probably, family men that, they just want to stay in one place, raise a family, get married, and have children and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I get that. There's just something about people who make money off renting trying to dissuade people from owning a single family house.
I think they're just not very specific.
And they're trying to encourage them to rent instead.
Yeah.
But to be fair to Grant Cardone's, I think when he bought in his book, Be Insane or Be Average, I think that's what it's called. He did say one of his first homes that he bought was a 2-family house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he was like, oh wow, I can make money off of this, and then that's how he started getting into real estate and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I think for the majority of his life, he was renting where he was living, because he was able to move around and invest in different areas.
Again, yeah, I can understand
while simultaneously, owning properties.
Yeah, no, I can understand that, and I think, like, if I get to buy other properties, I'm definitely gonna buy. I'm not gonna buy like a single family home as an investment property.
Yeah,
I will buy one as a place to live in, especially given what my circumstances are, or what anybody's circumstances are. But the next property that I buy is definitely gonna be an investment property, like a multi-family house or a building or whatever. If I could even do that. But I would never dissuade somebody from not buying a home, especially, if you're taking a good inventory of your life and your life circumstances and what can happen and what you're planning on doing. I think owning is better than renting. Like the last apartment that I was living in, I was living there for like 5 years, dude.
Yeah.
Imagine the equity I would have been able to build up at that from 5 years. Then you could have pulled that equity out if you wanted to. Some of that equity, plus whatever it was that you had saved up, and you buy your next investment property. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that would have been and then you keep rolling it over and rolling, and before you know it, you start building houses off of that.
So what I don't like, I mean, I do like this and I don't like it.
You don't like HELOCs, bro?
No, well, that's another situation. so what Grant Cardone does, he has a kind of like a syndicate thing where it's like, he pulls in money from everyone, and he buys the real estate, and him and his
Oh, isn't
investors
that what they were
own
trying
it.
to do in New Jersey with the DJ guy?
Yeah. They were trying to do syndicate. And they opened an app and all this other shit. And I think I don't know if it failed or not. But yeah, I heard about that. And I heard that there was like a lot of people upset about not getting their money back and just going back and forth. But I did hear about that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I took you off track with the whole Grant Cardone.
Yeah, back to Grant Cardone.
Sorry about that.
So he has this this fund where he goes out there and he's like, hey, do you want a return on your money? If you want, you could. He also like he encourages people to take a loan, not a loan, but to like tap into their 401ks. And
let's revisit that. But keep going. Let's revisit that.
Yeah. The 401k tapping thing.
Yeah.
So he has this whole like movement now where he's like, hey, instead of having your money there, you could tap into it. And so what he does is that he buys real estate with all the money that he acquires from his investors, and then he buys it and gives them like a small percentage back. And depending on how much monthly, I think it's monthly. So depending on how much money you put up, the more you make, right?
That makes sense.
Versus like actually buying the real estate yourself and then having actual ownership on that entity. You know what I mean?
Right, but is that it? Because I want to revisit the phone, and I want to revisit what you just said.
So I don't like that thing. Like I would like to be the owner of it. You know what I mean, of the actual fund. But
let me ask
the whole idea, it's like they're losing out. The investors, if they actually put in the work, the sweat equity, then they would actually have a higher rate on their.
Let me give you the scenario. Let's say
investment.
You have the choice of being an owner, but you're making. Let's say an example. Let's say you have the chance of being an owner, but you don't have enough capital, right? And as a result, you can only invest minimally. And as a result, let's say an example, you only get $200 a month, but you're the owner, but you only get $200 a month, and so everything that happens is on you also, right? But let's say you're part of a big group like the syndicate of Grant Cardone, right? And the same amount that you put there, right, gets added to a much bigger pot, which gives much more working capital. And I don't even know if I'm correct in this assessment, but you have more working capital. You can buy the owner of the syndicate can now buy a bigger property. Now instead of you getting $200 a month with that money you put down, you're getting $500 a month with that money you put down.
I don't know it would work if it worked that way. I would think that you would make more money in the investment
ownership.
Ownership. Yeah, you would make way more money. I would say, unless you put way more money into the syndicate, so it could like even out.
Well, whatever the case is, I thought maybe like your money would go a lot further.
No.
Pool. Okay,
but you would have a higher risk, right? It's all about risk. How much risk can you take? And so if you're not willing to take the risk and put in the work, you just put in your money and make someone else do the work.
Yeah, and you get a little bit more, not even a little bit more.
No.
Okay. I guess I was wrong on that. Okay.
If that was the case, then no one would go that route.
Well, no, because some people they be like, no, I have a lot of money. I could do it myself. Versus I don't have that much money.
I'll tell you this. It depends where you're investing too. Because if you're investing in the Midwest where rents are like in the hundreds, you might as well just take your money somewhere else. And you could most likely maybe get a higher return on your cash. Versus like if you're dealing with real estate in the Northeast or, I mean, Cali's a mess, but still rents are high.
Yeah.
And if you're dealing with that market, then you might as well just deal with the Northeast and the West Coast. But then you're gonna have to deal with issues that come with that.
Yeah. No, I was just curious what your thoughts were on Seoul versus.
Yeah, it depends where you're at. Yeah, it depends if you're in a place where the rents are low and your cash flow is always going to be low because it's going to require you to acquire several properties to make up for that gain. Then I think it is worth just putting your money in a fund where they look for investments maybe in a better location. They do all the heavy lifting, and then you just get a little check at the end of the month. So I guess you have to just run the numbers and say, okay, cool.
Yeah,
so if I live here in this area, I know that the market here is not that great. I'm never going to get a huge return unless I acquire multiple properties. I'm just going to go online, sign up, and boom, put my money in there, and then just make them do, the
and you're going to get either the same amount or a little bit more than you would have if you would have invested in the local area.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to get at. Like,
yeah, you just have to look at how much. I haven't really looked into. Yeah, I could already imagine Greg Cardone listening to this. Oh yeah, you're right. You didn't do your research, but like I haven't had enough time to like look into his stuff to know like what the numbers are. Because I know he in his website he does have like, hey, we're about to buy this property And if you're part of the syndicate group, you can invest this much, and this will be your return and stuff.
So how much is he asking to invest?
I don't know. I've just seen he just does. He has like a presentation where he lets you know where your money's going and what might be like a projection of your profit. But it's not always going to be right. You know.
Of course, yeah.
Things fluctuate up and down.
Yeah, and
vacancy as well. So
and you're giving up some control when you part of that.
Oh, I think it's complete control you give up because you're not really there.
But you get to vote though, right? You don't get to vote on certain things.
I don't know.
Because even when you own stocks, you get investment.
Yeah, maybe you do it depending on how much money you put up. But
damn, bro, we really don't know. We really don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, right.
JCast podcast.
This is gonna be someone out there like, yo, I'm making millions off of Grant Cardone, mother freak.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really hear much of those people though, do you? Do you? Like, yeah.
You know what? Yeah, I haven't heard a lot of people saying, oh, this guy's a scammer.
But I haven't heard that either. I heard a little bit more about that than, I invested in Grant Cardone and I'm making this much money a month and this is how he did it. Have you heard about that?
I haven't heard scamming or I haven't heard, I've made this amount of money with him.
Haven't heard either, right?
So maybe he's, damn, I have to look more into this. Maybe he's more transparent where it's like you're going to make this amount of money. You're like, damn, you know what? I am making this amount of money, but it's not life changing. So I'm not even going to talk about it. And it's not a scam, so I'm not going to talk about that either. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm just going to be I'm making $200 a month. It is what it is. You know what I mean?
And I put 10K or something.
Yeah. Like so he told me I was going to make 200. So what I'm going to say is he's not scamming me, but it's not life changing. So
I'm not going to go on Dr. Phil and talk about, I guess that's true. I want to circle back to the 4